أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله نور السماوات والأرض، مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح، المصباح في زجاجة، الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية، يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار، نور على نور، يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء، ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم. في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه يسبح له فيها بالغدو والآصال، رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة، يخافون يوما تتقلب فيه القلوب والأبصار، ليجزيهم الله أحسن ما عملوا ويزيدهم من فضله، والله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب. والذين كفروا أعمالهم كسراب بقيعة يحسبه الظمآن ماء حتى إذا جاءه لم يجده شيئا ووجد الله عنده فوفاه حسابه، والله سريع الحساب. أو كظلمات في بحر لجي يغشاه موج من فوقه سحاب، ظلمات بعضها فوق بعض، إذا أخرج يده لم يكد يراها، ومن لم يجعل الله له نورا فما له من نور. Sadaqallāhul Azim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. Regarding our understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an, as Muslims, we cannot make it into an object. We cannot make it into an object. I'll explain that to you in a second. The second we make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and or the Qur'an into an object, when I say an object, you see I can touch this, I can feel this, then what happens is that now we can do what we want with it. I'm holding it, I can throw it, I can pass it to you, I can spill it, I can do just about anything. If the bottle's finished, I can even, take it and throw it away. You see, now it's in my hands, I do whatever I want with it. You understand? It's because I've made it into an object. One very interesting point. It's a very, very big fitna that's happening in the world at this point. Very subliminally it happens, we don't see it, is the objectification of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Qur'an. Na'udhu billah, this is bad. It's bad, yes, to objectify. And the reason that many times individuals tend to objectify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and or the Qur'an, na'udhu billah, is because we're trying to make others understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, or what the Qur'an is. And the only way to make someone understand is how? That you tell them in their own language. When you tell them in their own language, many times we can hurt the concept of our aqidah and our beliefs regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is very scary. And it's very subliminal. And it's very interesting how, many times scholars will tend to take this approach for da'wah purposes, or for just whatever reason, perhaps to wow the crowd. Say wow the crowd. Meaning, I do something and all of a sudden you say, wow, that was so cool. That wow idea. Why? Because now what happens is you tend to, be able to understand that, there is something behind it. And then the idea comes up that, we can actually understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. What is the reality? The reality is that the Qur'an is the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Qur'an is the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ, there is none like Him. And we cannot understand. So if we try to understand, we're going to end up in a situation where we're just going to be lost. We're just going to be lost. So far we're all following. Now, in order for us to, see this perspective properly, the first rule is don't objectify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and don't objectify the Qur'an. I'm going to give you examples, so don't worry about that. But I'm going to start off with one very simple example. If we're able to see, if I'm able to see, then I'm satisfied. If someone is not blind and they're able to see, then they're satisfied. I wear glasses. When I take my glasses off, I can see. Now I know that I have my glasses in my hand, but if I did not know where my glasses were, then I would panic. I would panic. I'm not sure, no one here is wearing glasses, but, oh, you're wearing glasses. But what happens is I cannot see without my glasses. This picture is very blurry, you see? And when the picture is very blurry, I will panic if I'm not able to see. And I'm going to look for ways that I'm able to see. So, for example, before I go to sleep, I take my glasses, I put them on the table next to me. And I think in the middle of the night, one day, what happened is my hand just kind of hit my glasses and they fell off. And I woke up in the morning to reach out for my glasses. I couldn't find them, and I panicked. I was like, oh my God, I can't see. And my brain was going everywhere. My glasses, my glasses. And my wife was like, chill out. They were on the ground. So then I picked them up and I put them on, and I was able to see. So we want to be able to see. Now picture the situation. You are stuck in traffic. You're stuck in traffic on some interstate, some big major city. Sorry, Boston's a major city. But you're stuck in traffic, perhaps in Boston. Let's say some major city, because there's not that many ups and downs. But on the city that you're stuck in, the highway has ups and downs. There's hills. All right? Now, you know this traffic. You know you're stuck in traffic. Now, what's going to give you peace of mind? If you are driving and there's a truck in front of you, what happens? You know, you try to swerve your car along the side to see how far the traffic is going to be. Yes or no? Right? Unless you're totally bored, then you're not going to swerve your car around the right and left to see where everything is going. However, ideal situation is you're not stuck behind the truck, right? And you're actually driving and you're able to see a little bit what's in front. When the road is straight, you can't really see. You can see a few cars in front of you, but you don't really see the root cause of the problem. You don't see exactly where the problem is happening. So you're driving and you're driving and you're driving, and then all of a sudden you notice from a far distance. Actually, it's a straight road, so you don't really notice anything. You kind of look and you're just like, where is this traffic? Can anyone relate to that situation when you drive? It happens to me so much because I come from Toronto. So much traffic over there that sometimes people are stopped and they're sitting on top of their hoods of their cars reading the newspaper in the middle of the highway. So sometimes it's like totally blocked off. Now, situation comes up that you are actually stuck in traffic. You want to be able to see. Yes or no? You want to know where is this traffic stopping? Or what's the cause? So that you want to, be able to notice and get some peace of mind so you can move forward. And the traffic is actually over there. How are you going to be able to notice that? Well, one way is that you actually, when you're driving, for those of you who drive, will be able to relate to this. Stuck in traffic, and then you're going slowly, and then you reach the top of a hill, and then the rest of the highway is kind of going downhill. So when you're on top, you can see. You can kind of see exactly how far this traffic is actually going. True or false? Because you're on top. And you're like, it's only up till there. Good, peace of mind. If you cannot see from higher up, because the roads are very, very straight, you're living in Chicago, or something like that, it's very, very straight, then what happens is you have that radio station that you turn on, and they give a traffic report every 10 minutes or every 9 minutes. Major cities, they have that. I don't know if they have it in Boston. Do they have it in Boston? Every 10 minutes, 20 minutes? So they have it in Toronto every 9 minutes, traffic update. And sometimes you hear the person come on, traffic report sponsored by, right, Boston Bruins or something, right? And then all of a sudden, you can actually sometimes hear the helicopter. The person says, yeah, I'm sitting, airborne traffic, sitting up in the air in a jet or in a helicopter. And there is traffic on the I-10 that's going from exit 45 to exit 47. So now you have an idea, and then you look at I'm at 46, one more exit. You see? But now what happens is the fact that the person on the radio told you exactly how far the traffic is going to be, does that surprise you? Are you like, oh my God, this is a miracle? How did the person know? Because the person's sitting on top of your head in the helicopter. Yes or no? Keep this example in the back of your head. I want to make you aware of a very big fitna that happens in the world now. Objectification of God, trying to understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when we cannot understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. We cannot understand God. And the huge problem in fitna now is that many times speakers are trying to impress the people by having them trying to understand God and trying to understand the Qur'an. You can't. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. There's none like Him. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. We can never understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Keeping this in mind, and I mentioned this and I talked about this in the khutbah yesterday, but I feel this is a very, very important topic. the way we move forward, once you've understood these different concepts that I've given you right now, the concept of the traffic that's stuck, the person in the helicopter on top, objectification of God, objectification of the Qur'an. Now, there's these movies that come out. First, and a lot of these movies, what impresses you is those movies that really play with your brain. You know that movie that came out, Inception? And once a movie finished, you're like, wow, it's like, you walk out of the movie theater and you're still, one eye is still facing that way and the other eye is looking straight because you're still a little bit confused and you're like walking with a crooked head because you're still trying to figure out, is the person dreaming or is the person alive, right or wrong? For those of you who haven't seen it, then just read up about it. Or these movies, or like sometimes if you watch Back to the Future Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, after in the middle of Part 2, you're just like, it's just not, it's like, it's just weird. But a lot of these movies, what are they trying to do? They're trying to conquer the concept of time and space. Now you're trying to conquer time and space, what happens? Because time and space is a creation of God, is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we want to try to understand God, what do we do? Let's try to, break that concept of time and space, and we'll be able to understand who God really is. No, that's not really the case, because God is beyond that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is far beyond that. But this is what the message that is portrayed to everyone. So we see that, oh my God, you know what? We can actually go further in time. We can go back in time. We can go into all different dimensions. You've kind of conquered time. Or conquering the concept of space. You're actually dead. Or you're about to die. You're still alive by like this 1 little %. And what happens is that your vision is projected into the world and you're actually living, but you're actually dead. You've conquered space. Now you're in 2 spaces at one time. And a lot of this is portrayed within the movies. Now what happened, the movie came out a few months ago. It was called Noah. How many of you heard of that movie that came out? It was called Noah. It was about Prophet. It was portraying Prophet Noah alayhi salam. How many of you heard that the movie came out? I've never seen the movie. How many of you heard the movie came out? Excellent. You've seen the movie came out. Excellent. Put your hands down. How many of you heard all the controversy after the movie? Oh my God, it's such a bad movie. They were portraying this and that. And, oh my God, it's so like haram. And how many of you heard of all that stuff? It was all over Facebook. It was all over, different religious groups mentioned all the different things. Yes, sir, I've heard it also. I've read so many articles. I mean, what? No one else? You didn't read anything? There's so much controversy because they're portraying Prophet Noah in a very bad way. Oh my God, how can you say that he was drunk? And how can you say this and that? They're portraying all of these different things. And all religions, who believe in Prophet Noah, they all went very, very crazy. They were like, this is so bad. This is so bad. You guys remember that? Right or wrong? You guys remember that? Yeah, it was all over. Read up about it. Movie, Noah, and just reviews and, reviews. Read the Christian reviews, the Jewish reviews, read the Muslim reviews. All of the Christians, Jews, and Muslims were all really, really upset about it. They just didn't like it. But what happens now, we're talking about this movie here. We're talking about a lot of these movies. How can you portray a prophet? And then it comes out and we start freaking out. But then what happens is we forget that sometimes, I'm not gonna, even bring up the question whether it's bad or not bad. But a lot of the subliminal messages regarding movies in which you're objectifying God, because we're so used to it, we don't see it to be bad anymore. So now what happens, you had the movie called Source Code. How many of you heard of that movie? It came out a few years back. You heard the movie Source Code? The biggest joke in the market was, did you know that all of the actors who played in Source Code actually got paid? Now you're probably wondering, what does that mean? Because the whole movie was 30 seconds. The whole movie was like 30 seconds, and they repeated those 30 seconds for 2 hours. Read up about it. It's very interesting. The movie was about 30 or 40 seconds long. That's how long the movie starts off with 10 seconds. They made a scene for 30 seconds, and then they repeated that scene for 2 hours. It's a very interesting concept. The second the movie finishes, you're like, wow, oh my God. The whole idea was that there's some guy who was dead, and, spoiler alert, some guy who was dead, but at the same time he was alive in another dimension, actually living in the world right now. We didn't realize that the whole idea behind this was that man was able to conquer space. But we didn't think anything bad of it. It was just put into our heads. And now we think that we can objectify God, because now we can try to understand the concept of time and space. Or a recent movie that came out right now, which was called Lucy. Heard of the movie Lucy that just came out? Raise your hand if you heard of the movie Lucy. All right. Idea, don't watch that. Well, besides the fact that it was a very, people say it was such a boring movie, but I'm just telling you how these subliminal messages come into our minds. But then we start hating on other movies. We don't hate on the concept where people are trying to challenge God. Because spoiler alert again, the last part of the movie, you don't want to listen close your ears, but last part of the movie where, the girl has so much knowledge and so much information, and someone's like, where is she? And then all of a sudden, someone gets a text message on their phone, I'm everywhere. Because what happened is apparently she's become God. But we don't see that anymore because we think it's a cool movie, but it's a subliminal message put into your head. Do you know that you think you can understand who God is? You can actually understand God. And the kids come out and we make our kids watch these movies. We make our kids watch it. My wife was saying a very interesting thing. It didn't click to me. Do you know these Hollywood movies, their marketing is the best. They're amazing at marketing, yes or no? But that's why we go watch the movies. And then they have not only marketing, they have psychiatrists and psychologists, and they have all of these people who are there putting together a picture for you because the person writing the story has a message in their head that they want to portray to the audience. Correct? You don't believe it? That's exactly what's going on. So now what happens is we watch these movies and we get so impressed by them and we're like, wow, this is an amazing movie. And all of a sudden we go home with a subliminal message into our head, which is what? You can actually objectify God. We can understand who God is. Oh, now I understand what it means to have the knowledge of God. No, you don't. How does this reflect in Muslim lectures now? This is the concept of objectification reflecting in our regular life, not Islamic life. How does this reflect in Muslim life? Well, number one, I've heard lectures, and I've went and I've actually talked to the people who are giving the lecture. These are scholars, and I have a little bit of a bias because I have to takhassus in tafsir. I have a specialization in tafsir, so I really don't like it when people step on my feet. Someone specializes in something, and then someone else comes up, they're stepping on their feet. No, I jump really high, and I can jump high. So you're stepping on my feet because what happened is now these people come out and they'll start to give you a little magic show. You come up and you're standing in front of everyone, and you're standing in front of everyone, and all of a sudden you do this magic show. Did you know? And then you pull up your hat, and from inside of your topi you pull out a rabbit, right? I'm not going to pull out a rabbit. And then everyone's like, wow, that was so cool. How did that happen? If someone pulls out flamingo and then pulls another flamingo out of another flamingo. It's like flamingo. But I've never seen the flamingo, but there's two birds out of one bird. It's like, oh my God, how did that actually happen? You put a flame in the air and poof, and something crazy happens and you get a big giant bear. Sorry, I haven't seen the bear thing either. I'm just making this stuff up. But you get what I'm trying to say. What does the audience do? They're like, wow. Have you heard of that wow thing? Oh my God. And then the first question I ask is, how did he do that? Or how did she do that? Right? There's always a story behind it, right? There's always a major story behind it. Or it's like, you have this little puppet and the puppet comes to life. And you're like, wow, how did the person do that? And sometimes they just bring all this little magic show in front of your face and you're just all wowed. That's the wow concept here. Move forward to the next wow concept. You know what? Someone comes up and says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an says there are 19 angels that are there, 19 angels. And then they take the number 19 and then they start to make these multiplications, 19 this, 19 that. And did you know that this many words in the Qur'an are a multiplication of 19, and this many surahs are a multiplication of 19, and this many bismillahs are a multiplication of 19, and this is all mathematical calculation, and you're just like, wow, oh my God. Now, everyone who reads this stuff, what's the first thing they say? Wow. Mathematical miracle of the Qur'an. Cool. Put that aside also. It's a little magic show they're giving to you in order for everyone to say, wow. Or the second magic show they give you is, did you know that, this scientific fact was proven in the Qur'an like 1400 years ago? And they're like, wow, oh my God, it was so cool that, they figured it out now, but the Qur'an talked about it 1400 years ago. How many of you heard of these things? You heard so many of these, and you're like, wow. You just wow, W-O-W, wow. Capital, 3 exclamation marks. Got it? Wow. And then the last thing you have, you guys ready for a wow? You guys want a wow? I'll give you guys a wow. I'm going to make it up now. Did you know Surah Nuh has 950 letters? That's a wow, isn't it? They just said wow. This is a wow. That was a wow. Because Nuh alayhi salam preached for the people for how many years? 950 years. There's 950 letters in Surah Nuh. And everyone said, wow. But now this is just a magic show. This is just this little magic show that I'm trying to put in front of you. I pulled out roses from my sleeve. It's still in my sleeve. Pulled it out. What's the idea here? That as Muslims, your job is not to be impressed by these things. If it impresses you, good for you. Good for you. But your relationship with the Qur'an should be very different. Your relationship with the Qur'an should be very different. Why? Just because something is proven or opened up to you, good for you. But the idea behind the Qur'an is that it is the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the first miracle of the Qur'an starts off by you reciting the Qur'an. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put miracles in the Qur'an that many times we tend to neglect, and we tend to look at these other miracles. Because now someone gives you these different miracles, and what's the first thing you do? You open up the Qur'an and you start reading it. Wow. Oh my God. I read the word Rahim like 400 times. I read this word this many times, and I'm saying this, and I'm doing all of these things. Eventually what happens, you start to objectify it. Because now you're trying to understand it in a way, and you're trying to be able to put inside of your head that, you know what, I can understand exactly what it is. And someone comes up and says, did you know why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned Iyaka before Na'budu? But normally, according to Arabic grammar, the maf'ul bihi comes after the fi'l, Na'buduka. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in, not Na'buduka wa nasta'inuka. Because, and then they give their explanation for it, and my question to them is, first of all, what gives you the right to be able to stand up and say that this is what the explanation actually means? Half the time you give an explanation of the verse of the Qur'an, 99% of the time it's wrong. Because that's your own subjective understanding of that verse of the Qur'an. Don't try to mold the Qur'an to fit your whims and desires, right or wrong. You actually tell them how the Qur'an was applied at that time. So for example, one sister was arguing with one of my students who was teaching a class over the month of Ramadan, and was arguing with him. Said, you know what? Is it fard for where in the Quran does it say that women need to cover their hair? Where in the Quran does it say that women need to cover their hair? So what happened is, and this individual, the student of mine, he's a prominent figure, prominent speaker in the world. So he started arguing with this, and I was sitting outside reading Qur'an in the month of Ramadan, and he came out and said, Sheikh, it's a little situation here. I said, well, what's the situation? Well, we're in the Qur'an, this girl's arguing with me, saying that where in the Qur'an doesn't say that woman needs to cover her hair. I said, nowhere. It doesn't say that anywhere in the Qur'an. Oh my God. Well, what about wearing the hijab? I said, yeah. But you need to flip the question and ask them back that, do you think that you can go into paradise without wearing hijab? But then the idea here is that what this individual is trying to do is trying to find or has a preconceived idea in her head, and then trying to mold the Quran to fit that idea. If you want to know regarding the concept of hijab, contextually look at the tafsir. And you see, when the verse of covering was revealed, how was that verse applied within the women living in that society? Well, then you find the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ or the companions or the wives of the prophets, they did a specific thing, or they did this, or they did that, or they covered their head, or they did, however they covered it. And that's exactly how that verse is applied. And the fact that the Prophet ﷺ didn't say anything against it means that becomes a taqreer of the Prophet, or the way the Prophet ﷺ acknowledged it, and that's how we as Muslims are going to practice it. So specifically will not be mentioned, but many times if you want to know the Sharia, you need to contextually understand the verses of the Quran. And you cannot do that if you have a preconceived idea in your head. But the only time you think that you have a preconceived idea and you try to mold the Quran to fit your idea is after you've objectified the Quran. Because now you think you can do whatever you want with it. I can throw it, I can drink it, I can pour it out, I can do whatever I want. Because now I have basically, put myself in a situation where I think I can understand the Quran. I've objectified it. Now I know what it's trying to say, and now I can mold whatever ways, whatever thing I want to fit the meaning of the Quran. No. And what is this from? This fitna of the magic show. The fitna of the magic show that I'm talking about, where people come on and say there's this and there's that, there's this and there's that. What is the miracle behind the Qur'an that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us? Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us there's 950 letters in Surah Nur? No. Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us why He mentioned Iyaka before Na'budu? No. All of these things are your subjective, prejudiced understanding of what you believe or think, which may be 99% of the time wrong. But what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us? What is the miracle? He said, Inna Qur'an al-Fajri kana mashhuda. The Qur'an that you recite at the time of Fajr is witnessed by the angels. Ask yourself a question, how many of you actually wake up for Fajr? Second miracle, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an mentions that, subhanAllah, verse not coming to my head, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in the Qur'an that for every single letter, you get 10 rewards. And he said, Alif Lam Mim is not one letter, Alif is one letter, Lam is one letter, Mim is one letter. So if you just say Alif Lam Mim, or if you say the word Alam, you get 30 rewards. That's a miracle in itself. Because if you read any other book, you don't get that many words. You're not promised that many rewards per letter. Another thing, automatically, if you are a person of the Qur'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you respect. How is that possible? Well, you know what? When it's time for prayer, let's say you're all in a gathering, and it's time for salah, who's the first person that everyone looks around to lead the prayer? The one who what? The one who memorized the Qur'an, right? The one who knows the most Qur'an. Automatically, we're living in the world for the hereafter. We're living in the world for the hereafter, and when it comes to that worship, what leads us to the hereafter, the first person we look for is the one who knows the most Qur'an. وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala automatically puts us in a position of respect, this respect that we cannot get from anywhere else except that if you memorize the Qur'an. It's that respect. These are the miracles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us. What else is the miracle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has told us in the Qur'an? He says the Qur'an is cure. Shifā'un wa rahmatul lil mu'mineen. The Qur'an is cure. So basically, if someone is sick, if you recite the Qur'an on them, then they will be cured. Ask yourself a question. That how many of us actually recite the Qur'an? How many of us actually recite the Qur'an upon someone who is sick? Or if you are sick, how many of you actually pick up the Qur'an and start reciting it because I am sick? Just curing it. No medicine in the world can cure you if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not want, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the Qur'an is cure for you. Or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you want no miracles? These are miracles for you. Or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you read Surah Qul, then this surah is going to intercede for you on the Day of Judgment. The intercession of the Qur'an. We live for the hereafter, right or wrong. We're going to die eventually. Every single one of us is going to die. So looking at the hereafter, the biggest miracle of the Qur'an is going to intercede for us on the Day of Judgment. Is that not a miracle? Just because you can't see it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So, and the first miracle of the Qur'an is when we pick up Surah Al-Fatiha and we read Surah Al-Fatiha and we finish it, غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. Ameen. The first thing we read after that is what? Alif Lam Mim. Explain what it means. Go, start, try explain. All the scholars say, Wallahu a'lamu bi muradihi bi dhalik. That's the first miracle. Humble yourself. You don't know what it means. So if an individual comes up and tries and starts to objectify, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or objectify, the Qur'an, then you'll be able to mold it and do whatever you want with it. You see this piece of paper, or this tissue here, or this napkin here, it's a regular napkin. See, magic show, let me show you a magic show. And then I fold it like this, and I fold it like this, and then I fold it like this, and then I fold it like this, and then I make it into a boat. You see? And then I can open it up again, and then I can fold it like this, and I can make it into like a bird, flamingo, or make it into I learned in origami class when I was in grade 5 how to make it into a gun or make it into a balloon that you kind of blow into it. You can do anything you want because now it's in your hand. You see? But that's because you brought it into your hand. What's our understanding of the Qur'an and of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Don't try to understand. Actually, what you need to do is remember that the idea behind the Qur'an is your guidance. You want guidance? Read the Qur'an. That's your miracle. You want cure, read the Qur'an. That's the miracle. Read the Qur'an at Fajr. Read the Qur'an. Recite the Qur'an. Do what we need to do regarding the Qur'an. And all of a sudden, you're going to realize that all of these other things are very, very wrong and bad. And we don't want to be influenced by this. Rather, we want to connect ourselves to the Qur'an, and we recite the Qur'an so that we gain the blessings and the benefit from the Qur'an. Just start reading the Qur'an, and you'll notice miracles popping off of your body. Trust me. You start reading, you'll notice these miracles just literally just popping off of your body. So what is all of these other things, all of these other perspectives, scientific facts, or, that's proven in the Qur'an? What is all of these things? Remember we talked about the scientific facts and people say, wow, it's such a miracle. If you understand the reality behind it, it's not going to impress you anymore. Because if something is proven in the Qur'an, it's not going to increase the level of greatness of the Qur'an or decrease it at all. The Qur'an is always going to be that great. You understand? The Qur'an is always going to be that great. It's not going to increase it. If you say, wow, did you know that there's this, or I found this mathematical calculation and all these amazing things, it's not going to increase it. It's not going to decrease it. The Qur'an is already there. Don't try to go ahead. See what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you and take benefit from it. So the whole idea behind you as an individual and your understanding of these mathematical facts or the scientific theory that opened up to you when you read it in the Qur'an and you say, wow, 1400 years later, this theory was proven. Well, it is a big deal. But when it comes to da'wah purposes, the non-Muslims, they don't really care about it. You see, because they don't believe in it in the first place. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that when you turn the radio on, and the person on the person is telling you that your traffic is the traffic is delayed from exit 45 to 47. What's the reason the person knows? What's the reason? Because the person is at a higher level. The person is in a helicopter or sitting in an airplane, and they're able to tell you exactly where the traffic is going, etc. All of these things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows what's going to happen in the future. He knows everything about the past. He's all knowledgeable. He knows every single thing. So, if something is proven like this, these points, well, it was just, that's how it was supposed to happen anyways. Same example of that individual. You're stuck in traffic and you turn the radio on and someone tells you, well, this is how the traffic is happening. Why? Because the person's right on top of you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is greater than every single one of us. Knows what's happening far ahead. And knows what happened right before we were born. So is it a major surprise that something is proven in the Qur'an? Yes or no? From that point of view, as an individual, you need to rectify that relationship that you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by focusing on the akhirah and the hereafter. We need to focus on our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by focusing on the hereafter, focusing on the akhirah, Jannah and Jahannam, that's it. If we focus on those things, then we're going to understand the true reality of who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, Rabbul Alameen. He's not only taking care of you, He's taking care of this whole earth. He's taking care of this, our solar system, our galaxy. He's taking care of, all of the galaxies, all of, all of the universes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking care of every single thing. Keeping this in mind, do you think you can actually understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is? Yes or no? لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ. But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us of something, or something opens up to us in the Qur'an, contextualization is very important. But if something opens up to you, or something becomes really, really clear, and a scientific fact is discovered, and all of a sudden you realize it's actually in the Qur'an, well, so be it. It's nothing new. It's not going to increase the greatness of the Qur'an. The Qur'an is already great, and it's the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who knows of everything that's going to happen until the end. Or knows of everything that's going to happen until the end of this world. Right or wrong? Why? Greater, higher. When you're at a higher level, you know where the traffic's going to end. Now you have clear vision. When you turn on the radio, the person in the sky can tell you exactly where the traffic is going to end. Clear vision. You as an individual, connect yourself with the Qur'an and connect yourself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and your connection is going to be rectified if you forget about the superficial perspective that open up to people and focus your attention on the hereafter. I need to work on getting paradise. I need to work on staying away from the hellfire. And once my attention is focused in that specific direction, then you'll realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so great. Because you do not want to get that shock treatment because you've disrespected God and disrespected Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that all of a sudden you're put in a situation in your life where you're forced to have this realization of who truly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. And what is our belief about it? There is none like it. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. You cannot compare to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Qur'an is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us the ability to understand what was said. It's time for the adhan in a few minutes. And also to be able to recite the Qur'an and give the Qur'an its right. الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ. You recite the Qur'an, you don't change the meanings of the Qur'an, you don't bring in your own ideas, rather you understand the Qur'an the way the scholars, they understood the Qur'an, and the way, not only the scholars now, I'm talking about the way that the Tafsir of the past, Tabari, and these great scholars who compiled the works, the sciences of Tafsir, how did they understand the Qur'an? And they brought the evidence, they brought the narrations. This is what Prophet Muhammad said about this verse. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about this verse. This is what the Sahaba say about this verse. That is your understanding of the Qur'an. You cannot make up a meaning of a verse based on what you think the meaning may be, or based on what you think a specific verse should mean. No, the meanings are definite, and if we keep that definite meaning in our heads, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to guide us through the Qur'an. يُضِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا وَيَهْدِي بِهِ كَثِيرًا. And similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to open up to our minds what it means to be understanding of the Qur'an and what it means to really connect ourselves with the Qur'an. Don't connect yourself superficially, go deep. And the way to go deep, go to the ulama. Read the tafasir. And don't try to bring in a concept or an idea in your head and then mold the Qur'an's meaning and distort it in order to fit your meaning. That's wrong. That's called looking at history through your rear view mirror. You want to read history, back up and go back into history and then live it. You'll get a totally different understanding. JazākAllāh Khaiyr. There is an announcement. It's a really interesting course. It's the Fawaqih Institute. They have Quranic Arabic course in Boston. This is intro, beginner, and intermediate classes. September 14th to May 15th. 2 locations to choose from, either Harvard University or Newton Theological School. The one in Cambridge the one in Harvard is going to be Monday evenings from 7 to 10 p.m. And the ones in Newton Theological School is going to be Wednesday evenings from 7 to 10 p.m. The flyers are there. Flyers are there. And the sister Ustadha Mariam, who is also one of the teachers and alumni of Fawaqih, is available if anyone has any questions. I believe it's an amazing program. I would really recommend it. I mean, the whole topic today was about the Qur'an and saying the Qur'an, right? So beautiful, kind of fit in properly. Quranic Arabic course. It's a good, inshallah, everyone who needs to learn Quranic Arabic, register. Sister is here if you have any questions for her, inshallah. Perhaps we can take some flyers and put on the men's side. Or do you have enough flyers for everyone?
Yeah.
I can pass them.
Yeah, please pass it on. Everyone should just take one. And if you think you don't need it, then give it to someone who needs it. JazākAllāh Khaiyr. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.